Welcome to the Friday, October 15th edition of the SVG-TV News. I'm Khalil Kato with the details. The national vaccination campaign has been ramped up with the hours extended at vaccination sites island-wide to administer vaccines. On radio today, Health Promotions Officer Shanika John said they are doing the best they can to ensure that people have access to the health centers and other vaccination sites after working hours so they can get vaccinated.
This week and going forward up until December, your vaccination site would have at least some extended hours. For example, today at the Solidarity Car Park in Kingston, they're going to go there until 6:30. Some of the other clinics, Stubbs Polyclinic, Levi Latham Health Center, Bookerman Polyclinic, they are also going to extended hours. In fact, for the Bookerman district, we've realized that there are some persons who would access the services at the flu clinic in Layu. And once they've tested negative, people automatically want the vaccine. And so we've assigned persons there to be able to accommodate those persons. We're working as hard as we can to ensure that people have access to the service that they need where vaccination is concerned.
John outlined the areas on the leeward side of the island where they will be taking the vaccination caravan.
Our team wants to leave Kingston at around 10 a.m. and we're heading down. We're going to start from Spring and we're going to go all the way down to ensure that we meet those persons. But on our way up, we're just not going to just drive home. We're going to stop in Layu. So we're stopping in Layu. And for those persons who have seen us on the road all hours of the night, that's normal for us. So we're going to be there in Layu until there's no more persons standing in line waiting to get their vaccine. And then we'll make a stop in Barrelly and then we'll head up. On Sunday, Richland Park, we come into Mespo, and that's my minister's constituency. And so we really push in our efforts in all the constituencies and all of the health districts. So Sunday, we're definitely going to be in Richland Park.
Meanwhile, the Health Promotions Officer says to date, no one has died from the various vaccines being administered in SVG, while noting that the persons who have died from COVID-19 were unvaccinated.
Side effects of the vaccine are natural. The side effects are those immediate reactions that you're going to get that would last up to 72 hours. Also, just some mild fever, some chill, or some persons will get nothing at all. So we haven't had any major report of anyone. And if you do have had experiences with taking a vaccine, I would ask you to go back to your vaccination site and report it so that that information can be logged and we can even do a further investigation. I know people would say that we had persons who've died from COVID-19 vaccines after taking it. We haven't had such reports. Even now we're looking at the persons who have died and all of them are unvaccinated, Johnny. I do believe that there may come a point when we're going to get a fully vaccinated person who may die from COVID-19.
And the United States Food and Drug Administration, the US FDA, has approved a request from Pfizer Incorporated to extend the shelf life of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine for an additional 3 months, extending it from 6 to 9 months when the vaccine is stored at a temperature of -60 to -90 degrees Celsius. On October 22nd, the US FDA issued a concurrence letter approving Pfizer Inc.'s request, and on August 23rd, the agency revised the fact sheet for the healthcare providers administering vaccines to provide updates on expiration dates for the authorized Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. According to the fact sheet, cartons and vials of the Pfizer vaccine with an expiration date of August 2021 through February 2022 printed on the label may remain in use for 3 months beyond the printed date, as long as approved storage conditions between -90 degrees and -60 degrees Celsius have been maintained. The Pfizer vaccine is a US FDA approved COVID-19 vaccine indicated for immunization against COVID-19 in individuals 16 years of age and older. It is approved for use as a 2-dose primary series for the prevention of COVID-19 in individuals 16 years of age and older, and it is one of the vaccines available here in SVG. A cardiology mission of the World Pediatric Project, WPP, is currently in the state assessing children with heart problems. Today was the last day for children to be assessed. However, there was a low turnout. Local pediatrician Dr. Bharati Datta, who is part of the WPP team, said that many children were exposed to the COVID-19 virus and could not make it for the screening.
but there have been a lot of children who are not being able to come, who were on the call list because they've been exposed to COVID. So our numbers have really dwindled because of COVID. They couldn't make it. They are in quarantine or in isolation. We actually might have gone in the 50s, 52 or 55 maybe, but we saw only 42 children over the 2 days. Usually these clinics are very, very large. But our initial list was, we didn't want to keep it very long as well, so we struggled with appointments.
Dr. Datta said she's worried about her patients and hopes they do not get COVID-19 as it could be detrimental to their health, and asked parents to allow their children, once over 12 that is, to be vaccinated.
No, because these children with underlying heart conditions cannot handle COVID. I could tell you that. Over the last 2 days, we've been talking to each and every parent and patient who's above the ages of 12 was advised to get vaccinated. There's still a sizable amount of them who are unvaccinated. But these are the children. If they handle COVID, if they get COVID, they are not going to make it.
The pediatrician noted that some parents are still skeptical about the vaccines, and as a doctor, she seeks to educate them on the importance of the vaccines.
Skepticism, that's what we got, skepticism. But it is also our duty, besides looking after the heart, to make sure that these children, it would be disastrous to see a child with a heart problem, bring her out till about 20 and 30, and to see that child go down with COVID. That will be very shameful and heartbreaking. And if you can prevent it, then go and get them vaccinated and go get yourself vaccinated. So that's what we did, along with seeing their hearts and along with screening them for heart defects. Every patient was told, every parent was told to get their children vaccinated once they had reached 12 and above.
Head of the Pediatric Cardiology team with the WPP, Dr. William Moskowitz, assessed 42 children over the last 2 days and noted that rheumatic heart disease is found to be prevalent among children in SVG. Dr. Moskowitz explained what rheumatic heart disease is.
What we find here is not congenital heart disease, but rheumatic fever and rheumatic heart disease. When you have a strep throat that's not treated, the body reacts to the immune system to cause inflammation of the valves. And that can cause damage to the valves, which may be permanent. That causes the valves to get thick and to get constricted and scarred, and that causes leakage or tightness. At least it takes about 10 to 15 years for the tightness to happen. But the leakage can be so severe and of several valves that the child has heart failure and needs to be on heart failure medications, and some children die from that. So if you could simply diagnose strep throat and treat it appropriately, you can prevent that from happening.
The pediatric cardiologist stated that some of the children assessed today were doing follow-up screenings, after which it will be decided on what medical procedure is needed.
If kids need interventions such as surgery or cardiac catheterization, to prioritize them over the next 12 months to come to the States for surgery or an intervention. Sometimes there are new referrals for heart murmurs that turn out to be innocent murmurs, and we do the evaluation, we wish them well, and we don't see them again. Other children, because of rheumatic heart disease, require therapy and follow-up because the valves can get worse over time. And the congenital heart defects, some are mild and we follow them, and some of them are significant and need to have surgery. So there are a whole bunch of reasons for following the children up and seeing new patients, and then we prioritize them and do what's right for them.
Dr. Moskowitz said parents and everyone else need to educate themselves about the various heart diseases in children and adults.
So we've been doing education and screenings over the island for the last 10, 15 years, and we've seen a change and decreasing frequency of rheumatic heart disease. But the children that we see here, some of them have damage, and we follow them with medications, echocardiogram to see if they need valve replacement, even in childhood. So that's one major group. I would love never to see rheumatic heart disease on the island ever again, but it takes a national effort education in the schools, in the health districts, to educate people on the signs of a strep throat, how to treat it, and the signs of rheumatic fever.
One of the young pediatricians is Sharianne Davis Andrews, who said she is always excited to work with the WPP team. This is her first time with the cardiology team, and she said it has been an interesting experience.
I think for us as pediatricians, a lot of what we have to do is based on our clinical assessment, meaning using our stethoscope, using a history in terms of finding out what is going on with the child. But sometimes we don't have the capabilities to do the echocardiogram, meaning the ultrasound of the heart, to see the actual abnormalities and lesions.
In other news, the UWI Seismic Research Center continues to provide support for the monitoring of the La Soufrière volcano, rotating its scientists to lead the monitoring team at the Belmont Observatory. Seismologist Dr. Roderick Stewart has returned as lead scientist, taking over from gas specialist Dr. Thomas Christopher. Speaking on radio today, the seismologist, who was instrumental in the installation of seismograms around the summit of the volcano and other areas in the red zone, said while he has been monitoring La Soufrière from the Montserrat Observatory, it's much easier when on island.
I don't know if anyone's ever done computing and monitoring, but these things can become a bit of a mess. And since I left, I've been trying to run it from a distance, or I've been telling people to do things, but it really needs a big tidy up instead in terms of the data acquisition. So one of my main jobs here is really fixing that, sorting it so it's easier for other people to operate, it's easier for me to operate from a distance, and it gives us a stable platform to go forwards on. So that's my main job.
Stewart said he will use the opportunity to train members of the local monitoring team to monitor for earthquakes.
My job is just sort of supporting NEMO, the government, with whatever is required, my job as chief scientist. And then training. There's actually 2 of us here from Montserrat, and we've got to make sure that we pass on our knowledge, our training. So Tappy, who's with me, does a lot of GPS measurements. So he's going out, I know, today and next week with local staff, just to see how they're doing the GPS measurements, develop good techniques and things like this.
The Ministry of Agriculture, in collaboration with the Food and Agricultural Organization, the FAO, will join the rest of the world tomorrow to celebrate World Food Day. World Food Day is being celebrated by the FAO of the United Nations each year to commemorate the founding of the organization in 1945. The theme for this year's celebration is Our Actions Are Our Future: better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and better life. The United Nations FAO representative for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Colleen Phillips, said World Food Day is celebrated by organizations all around the world to highlight their concern about hunger and poverty, especially among the vulnerable.
On October 16th, to raise awareness as it pertains to issues behind poverty and hunger. We in St. Vincent are no exception, and we would be celebrating October 16th, which is Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, where we would not only talk about what it is we are doing, but to highlight our actions and path forward as it pertains to the development of agriculture in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
As SVG seeks to lower its food import bill, which is in the millions, Dr. Phillips spoke on what is being done locally to improve food production.
We are faced with, of course, COVID. We are no stranger to the experience as the rest of the world. We are coming out of volcanic eruption and in the process of recovery. And what the Ministry of Agriculture has done is reach out for assistance from the Food and Agriculture Organization to support in the development of concepts such as a land bank. The development of a national land bank would facilitate access to lands, not only to landless farmers, but also to youths. We are also busy assisting with capacity building to fisher folks and in the revision of the legislation to ensure that we can access international markets and protect our local fisher folks. We are also working on the use of technology for innovative interventions within agriculture.
In commemoration of World Food Day in SVG, the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Forestry, Rural Transformation, Industry and Labor will be hosting several virtual activities tomorrow. Chairperson for the World Food Day Activities Committee, Karomo Brown, noted that the activities for this year's celebration, which includes a virtual ceremony to be addressed by Minister of Agriculture Suboto Caesar, were scaled down due to the ongoing threat of COVID-19.
Now, the focus for this year's activity, most of our activities will be focused on a virtual platform. Most of it is going to be done online. We have slated a presentation to be done on Saturday, the 16th, which is World Food Day. Now, this presentation would include messages from the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Health, as well as the FAO Regional Coordinator. Our activities for the World Food Day, because it's going to be of a virtual nature, most of it we're actually going to be streaming through the Facebook account of the Ministry of Agriculture. In addition to that, we will be running a number of public service announcements through the various radio stations across the country. The presentations would be done on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and it would be aired by the National Broadcasting Corporation. It would also be aired on VC3, and it would also be hosted on the Ministry's Facebook page, where a YouTube link would be placed.
Brown said the theme for World Food Day 2021 emphasized the importance of agriculture production to improve the quality of life and to enable a sustainable future for all.
The objective of this year's theme is in keeping with the provision of wholesome, healthy, nutritious food for population. The FAO currently states that there are over 3 billion persons in the world who currently go hungry every day. Now, as part of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, they would have highlighted three activities, three of the goals, which are in keeping with this year's theme. The United Nations organizations have outlined 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Of this list, 3 of the goals have been identified as key parts of this year's theme. These goals are goal number 2, zero hunger, goal number 3, good health and well-being, goal number 12, responsible consumption and production.
The chairperson of the World Food Day Activities Committee used the opportunity to encourage all Vincentians to eat more locally produced food.
As the chairperson for the World Food Day Committee, we here at the ministry would like to continue to encourage persons to focus on their health and their production systems, ensuring that they eat properly, eat healthy, eat local. In your production systems, specifically for the farmers, we would continue to encourage to be sustainable in your production.
Minister of Education Curtis King is appealing to parents to provide the necessary support and materials for their children for online and face-to-face instructions. In a telephone interview with SVG-TV News, Minister King noted that parents have been frequently inquiring whether or not they should purchase school uniforms for their children for face-to-face teaching, and he will advise them to do so, as they are hoping to incorporate face-to-face teaching as part of the blended approach in the next 2 weeks' time, pending favorable conditions, particularly with COVID-19.
We have indicated time and time again that the situation is fluid and that at best, given our circumstances, we can speak only to an anticipation of face-to-face return to our schools sometime during the school year. We cannot say with any surety when such will happen. However, as I'm saying, we are anticipating that COVID-19 would not be with us in a situation that would allow us not to have face-to-face instruction all of the time. In other words, there is going to be some time when we are going to return to school for face-to-face instruction. And as such, parents should prepare in all the material circumstances for that eventuality. So that we expect the parents and guardians to provide their students with all that is required for them to attend and participate in school. And when I say participate in school here, I'm speaking about face-to-face.
Minister King is further encouraging teachers to get vaccinated, noting that this will assist in having a safe environment for all.
So we are making our efforts to make sure that students are exposed to education. We are also encouraging again our teachers to get vaccinated. And I'm saying again, I'm not mandating parents to do this. All I'm saying, parents need to know that there is presently a vaccine that can be administered to students 12 years and older, and I would encourage parents to have their children vaccinated. All these are things that are going to ensure, or let me not use the word ensure, all these are things that are going to assist us in providing a healthy and safe environment for our students and other users of our respective school compounds.
Students in the lower grades of primary schools who did not receive their devices for online classes will now receive them by next week. So says the Minister of Education, who noted that a quantity of tablets have recently arrived in the country.
But I have good news for those students. We have received the quantity of tablets that we had procured for some time now, but which got stuck in this whole COVID-19 situation. That is to say that they were not shipped on time, but now we have received them, and we will be commencing distribution of these tablets very soon. So I would want to say by middle of next week, all the students should have their tablets. In grade 1 and grade 2, they should have their tablets.
He, however, noted that the kindergarten students who just entered school in this school year will not receive tablets in this batch.
The grade K tablets, those for the new students have not yet arrived. Okay, but the grade 1 who were grade K last year, and some of the grade 2 who were grade 1 last year, they will all receive their tablets. Let me indicate that I know some students, particularly those in the lower grade, that is to say some in grade 2, the grade 1, and the new grade K, they do not presently have devices.